This episode of the Main Thing podcast is brought to you by Hot Works Tallahassee. Hot Works, where efficiency meets intensity.
The night I was born, the rain was pouring, God was crying, lightning struck, power outage, sparks was flying, the real one's here, the young boy that walked with lions around the outlines of chalk where the corpse is lying. Of course I'm trying to revive a sport that's dying, but the guns and the drug bars that y'all relying got these nerves thinking that you
What's going on, everybody, man? It's good to have y'all back. I know it's been a while, but welcome to episode 2 of the Main Thing podcast. I went and got one for y'all. This one is special. This one close to my heart. Bulldog country. We got Samford graduate, Samford alum, Samford quarterback, Walter Payton Award finalist, SoCon Player of the Year, Michael Hiers.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey,
I've been
man.
looking forward to it for a while, so.
For real. Hey, it's good to have you, man, for real, especially another Samford guy. I just want to top it up with you, man, kind of pick your brain a little bit and just get to know you. If
Absolutely.
that's all right today.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
First of all, it's good to be back home. Me being from right up the road, Bradenton, Florida, I miss this weather, so it's good to come back down to Tampa. Once you told me you were training here, I was like, oh, yeah, we got to come down and get this episode. So, yeah, man, it's good to have you, man, and we're going to get right into it. So,
sounds good.
For those of you that don't know, I kind of met Mike back in 2022. Him and Samford were having a really good run. I went down there for the SoCon championship and got to see him compete and kind of got to meet him that way, and we kind of built our relationship that way.
Right.
But I don't really know much more than that. So this is kind of our first real conversation sitting down. So let's get into it, man. Starting off, what was it like growing up? I know you're from Birmingham, Alabama, right? So what was that like growing up? Did you have siblings? What were some of the factors that kind of played into you wanting to go be a college quarterback and continue on that path? When did you know you wanted to play quarterback? So just kind of get into that background.
Yeah, man, so like you said, I grew up in Birmingham. I went to Broadway Christian School.
Okay.
I got one sibling, 2 parents, mom and dad. So I grew up loving baseball, basketball, and football. Honestly, football is probably the least of those 3.
Right.
Baseball is my first love, then I love basketball. First time I played football, they put me at cornerback, and I got torched, so I didn't think football was very fun.
Right.
But, yeah, so I grew up, like, all through high school till senior year wanting to play. I played all 3 all the way up to senior year.
Okay.
And I wanted to play baseball until I didn't start at quarterback till my senior year of high school.
Okay.
We went 14-1, had a really good year, lost in state championship on the last 2 minutes. And I was like, dang, I think that was my last football game.
Right.
And then at a basketball game, Murray State came and offered me, and I initially planned on playing baseball and football there. So when I got offered by Murray, I wanted to go to Samford, but we'll get into that later. But, yeah, man, so football wasn't the first love of mine. I just kind of started loving it later on.
Okay, so it was baseball for you.
Oh, baseball, absolutely.
Okay, so that's what you thought was going to be the driving force to go to college.
100%.
Okay,
100%.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what happened with that? Like,
man, I mean, I had a successful high school baseball career. I got more offers from baseball than I did football.
Really?
And I was planning on playing baseball at Murray. I tried to do both.
Okay.
It's just pretty hard to play quarterback and play baseball. So I just kind of stuck with football because I'd fallen in love with playing quarterback.
Okay. So what ultimately drove you to that love? Like, I think, baseball is fun, but I think quarterback is something I want to do.
My senior year, I was like I said, I thought it might have been my last football game, and I was pretty upset about it. Yeah. But luckily, Murray State offered and kind of got the ball rolling for other schools to talk to me. Okay. But about midway through my senior year, I was like, I really enjoy playing quarterback. Because before then, I never really played at you're playing JV and all that, but you're not really getting the experience and the competitiveness of playing varsity football. So
I got you. And yeah, bro, I get that 100%, man. I was a high school quarterback. So yeah, it's nothing like, having control of the offense and being able to be the guy.
Right.
So yeah, man, I feel that 100%. So you talked about some of the success you had in high school. So Murray State. So when you committed to Murray State, was Hatch there? Is that when Hatch was there?
No, so...
No. When you were coming out, he was at Samford.
He was at Samford.
Okay.
So Murray State offered me, like, February 1st.
Okay.
Came to a basketball game and offered me.
Uh-huh.
And it was 5 days before signing day. And up until that point, I was kind of thinking, hey, I'm going to go walk on at Samford and play baseball and then try to do the football thing if that works out. So when Murray offered me, I called Coach Hatch and was pretty much begging him to give me an offer. But he had already signed a quarterback for the class, and they had Devlin, Liam. Didn't have Chris yet. But, they had a pretty stacked quarterback room, so I understood it. But I went on a visit, like the walk-on visit to Samford, begged him again, couldn't do it. So then I went on a visit to Murray, and I committed.
That's crazy, That's crazy.
I know, but we joke about it, so it was pretty funny. But
so ended up going to Murray. So what was time like at Murray? How long were you there? 1 year, 2?
1.5.
1.5? Okay, so what happened in your time at Murray that you felt like, hey, it's time to move on. I think I want to transition and go the JUCO route.
Right. So Murray was great. I mean, it was a culture shock just because you're from a big city and then you go to pretty much the middle of nowhere, which is Murray, Kentucky. I met so many great people. I had great friends there, great teammates. But, you don't play for – I redshirted. We had a quarterback who ended up going to the Cardinals for a couple years, a really good player. But redshirted, then I was the backup the following year. And then Coach Mitch Stewart got fired. And he actually became the Samford OC, so it was kind of worlds colliding when I came back for junior college. But so he left, and then I was kind of sitting there. We got a new coach. He didn't really run my style of offense, and I never entered the portal. I just I had a couple defensive coaches from Murray go to the junior college I went to, Northwest, and they called me, offered me, went on a visit, and I was blown away with the place. So that's kind of how that all worked. It was quick.
Okay, so let's get into that part, that aspect of it, because you're a JUCO success story. So talk about the JUCO life, because I remember there was a point in my recruitment where I was kind of having that conversation with my brother, and he was like, you could kind of maybe go to JUCO, if you want to go that route. But I just had heard so many stories about, hey, bro, the JUCO life ain't really what you thought it was. You might show up the first day and you got 10 corners there or 20 corners there. And it's just a gauntlet, man. Talk about that process. What was your mindset saying, hey, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to go to JUCO and try to reset my recruitment. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about what that process was like, and mentally and physically and everything.
So my offense coordinator at Murray State went to another junior college, and I went on a visit there, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Then when I got the call from Northwest, talked to their head coach, Coach Parker, Coach Hill, the offensive coordinator, loved them, went and saw the place. I mean, it's a $5 million football facility. It's not like Last Chance U. It's a very nice building.
I got you.
Very well funded, just great people. And and Gardner Minshew had gone there. A bunch of successful quarterbacks. So I thought it was a good chance to kind of bet on myself. And at that point, because it was pre-COVID, it was it was going into 2020. I thought I had 1 year to try to ball out at JUCO and then go somewhere. So I guess I got there in January 2020. Then COVID happened, so I was only there for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And then we came back in August, played our first game in October, and ended up going undefeated, winning the conference championship, the national championship for JUCO, and then,
That's incredible. So what was that experience like? What do you think you learned during your time at JUCO? What do you think you took from that experience? What do you think about that experience helped mold you into what you were able to do later on in your career?
Right. Well, I think one thing I was going to add, too, was that was during COVID, right? So recruiting was just not great because everyone was coming back for another year. So I thought I was going to have to leave after that. Then I ended up going on a bunch of visits, not really fitting in, not really going somewhere that I really liked. So I came back for 2021. We pretty much did the exact same thing. Ended up losing in the semifinals, the playoffs, the national playoffs, but we won another state championship, had another really good year. But I think the biggest thing you learn from JUCO is it's so hard to balance winning, being a team player, but also you have to be good yourself. Right. So you're trying to not be selfish, but you're also at the same time worried about throwing 3 touchdowns, worried about throwing for 300 yards because if you don't, then you're not going to get recruited, if that makes sense.
So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But we had such a great group of guys who were kind of best of both team players, but also, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those guys I played in the Mississippi JUCO League are the best football players I've played against.
Right. Yeah.
They weren't at junior college because they weren't good at football.
Right.
Right?
This is other factors.
Yeah, other whether education or something didn't work out. Right. They were freak athletes.
Right.
Like the team we played in 2020, one of the Gulf Coast teams we played in 2020, like 10 of the defensive guys went SEC. Right. It's crazy. Right. But yeah, I think you learn that, and I learned a lot about football. I mean, I was basically in JUCO. I had not a lot of school to do because I'd already pretty much graduated from the junior college. So I got really good at learning football and kind of learning, plays and techniques and stuff like that. My coaches were phenomenal, so I really enjoyed it.
That's incredible. So now you go through JUCO, you win the national championship. So now, what's next for Michael Hiers? Were there major programs calling you? And I understand, like, sometimes a major program might call you just to come be somebody's backup.
Right.
What was that process like entering recruitment for your second time? Was it a little different than coming out of high school? Did you get more buzz, or was it just were you kind of shocked that there wasn't that much motion for you? Like, so get into that.
Right. Yeah. So I did. I had a lot of big schools. Like I went on a visit to Penn State. I talked to Florida. I talked to a lot of big schools about they wouldn't say directly come be our backup, but you know what they're trying to get at, and that's what happens when you're getting in the recruitment process for the second time. If I was coming out of high school, I'd never done it before, I probably would have fallen for it. Right. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's whatever you're personal, but I wanted to, do what I did. I wanted to go somewhere for 2 years, put myself in a good position, and so I have a shot at the NFL. Right. So, yeah, I had offers from Texas State, a good amount of mid-major schools that were in the process of offering, but I always wanted to go to Samford. It was either a big-time program or Samford. Okay. Just because, you see what Devlin does, you see what Liam Welch does, Oladokin, like you just see all these guys succeed, and I thought it was a really good opportunity. And I'm from Birmingham, and I got a bunch of friends on the team, so it was just kind of a cool, it's really what I wanted to do. So as soon as I got that official offer from Samford, shut recruitment down, committed on the spot, was ready to go. Okay, so you're ready to come home and do that. And quick question for you. How far did you live from Samford, like, growing up? About 20 minutes. 20 minutes? Yeah, that's close, okay, so, yeah, you kind of, in the back of your mind, you kind of always wanted to wear that Samford blue. Yeah, I mean, I had gone to a bunch of games growing up. We were big Alabama fans, but I went to a bunch of games, Samford games growing up. I got you. I was like, this would be a great, it's a quarterback's dream. You throw the ball 50 times. So the offense is centered around you. Right. So, yeah, you got it right the second time. So, props to you for that one. Yeah. So that's, I love that you touched on that, like, just being from Birmingham, coming back to Samford. I think that was huge because, growing up and watching a program, that's, like, it's hard to, a lot of people don't get to do that. Right. Like, during my time at Samford, I was able to come back and play against Florida State. That was a big high. Yeah. We played against FAMU, Florida A&M. Yeah. So those were two big moments for me, but you actually got to come home and rep your city, like. Right. So that's dope. Yeah, it was awesome. So that's dope. And have a bunch of friends and family. I had a bunch of family who'd gone to Samford, so it was just kind of a cool, always what I wanted to do, so. That's real dope. All right, we'll be back after this quick message.
Okay, here we go. Focus. Speed. I am speed. Faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am lightning. Speed.
As an all-conference kick returner, I need to maintain top speed. The Firefly recovery device sends electric pulses to the perennial nerve, acting as a pump pushing blood from your feet to your heart. Whether I'm in class, at home, or traveling for a game, Firefly keeps me going around the clock. Warm up and recover at the speed of lightning with Firefly.
Speed.
All right, so you get to Samford, and I'm pretty sure, like, part of your draw was the guys that came before you. So, like, during my time there, we had Devlin Hodges. He lightened it up, did what he did, record holder. Then after him comes Liam and Chris Oladokin. which is still in the NFL right now, doing this thing, collecting rings and being successful. Then you come along. What about that history kind of drew you to Samford? And did you feel like there was big shoes to fill when you got there? Because I know that can play a role in it too. I'm already back home. I got a couple guys who've done it at a high level that have come in before me, and even before Duck. Shout out Andy Summerlin.
Yeah.
He was a ball player. So, yeah, just talk about that aspect of it. Did you feel like there was pressure on your shoulders to perform? And was that in the back of your mind, or did you just say, hey, like, I'm my own person, I'm my own quarterback, I got to create my own path?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, one of the reasons I went to Samford was what those guys have done. And Coach Hatcher, I think he's one of the best offensive minds, I mean, in the game right now. He's unbelievable.
Right.
Absolutely love playing for the guy, do anything for him. But to be honest with you, I didn't feel any pressure.
Okay.
They were unbelievable players. I mean, you can see what they've done. Chris still in the league. Liam was player of the year. Devlin was in the league, holds the record. But I just kind of came in. I was going to be my own guy and just try to be the best I could be. Because when I got there, Nick Scalzo came from Kentucky.
Okay.
He was on that Netflix QB1 show. He's a great player.
Okay.
He got hurt, unfortunately, but he's a great player.
Yeah, I remember when he signed.
Yeah, we were battling. So I wasn't worried about the season. I wasn't worried about nothing. I was worried about trying to win the job.
Okay.
I didn't really have time to think about filling shoes. I was just trying to be the starter.
Yeah, okay. That's incredible. So, yeah, I didn't even know. So, y'all came in at the same
time.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so we get to the point where you're named the starter. So, what is your mindset there? Knowing you're going to throw the ball 50 times a game, knowing pretty much the game's going to be in your hands. That's just what, at Samford, that's what we require of our quarterback. It's on you. You got to pitch the ball around, and you got to take care of it, do what you got to do.
Right.
What was your mindset going into the season? Did you think, hey, I'm probably going to break some records, or was it like, hey, I'm trying to just win as many games as possible? Or did you just look, I'm going to just take it day by day, just kind of enjoy the process, enjoy the day-to-day of being a college Division I quarterback, and just go from there? What was your process in that?
Yeah, my process was, like you said, day-to-day, because I was, my first year we played Kennesaw State, who was ranked 6th, the first game of the year. So
Kennesaw State, too.
I wasn't worried about – I didn't care if I threw 4 touchdowns. I didn't care if I threw no touchdowns. I just wanted to win. That's all I cared about. That's all I ever care about, to be honest with you.
Right.
All those accolades and touchdowns and yards, that just happens, right? I mean, quarterback is so dependent on who the people are around you, and I was fortunate enough both my years at Samford to have really good players around me. Mm-hmm. But, man, I was not worried about throwing touchdowns, rushing for anything. I was literally just worried about winning. That's all I wanted to do.
I got you.
Just win every game we played. Like Hatch says, you go 1-0 every week, something good's going to happen. That was my goal.
All right, that's all you can do. That's all you got that week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. So you get there and you notice. So what was it about? Because 2022, that was your first season there. Mm-hmm. So what was it about? Because I feel like that was really the first year as a university, as a football program, that they really kind of hit the portal.
Right.
And they brought in a slew of guys. What was it about that team that y'all kind of say, hey, we might have a shot here. There's something special here. Because we kind of had something brewing while we were there. Got in a lot of shootouts with some Power 5 teams, did some things. Close 2 years in a row to get into the SoCon Champ, we just couldn't get it done. And y'all kind of like put that stamp back on us, like, no, we got a standard around here. So what was it about that team, like, because it's hard to win like that when you got a bunch of guys just coming in, different agendas, different programs, everybody trying to get theirs. What was it about that team, maybe your leadership or other guys' leadership, that was able to make y'all bond and come together so quickly and just win? Because y'all played in a lot of close games too.
Right.
Like, I had a lot of dogfights that year. So what was it about that team specifically that made y'all go on that run?
Yeah, I think to begin with, like you said, we had a ton of transfers, a ton of transfers. But I think the guys that were already at Samford did a really good job of welcoming us all in and just making us feel like we were at home pretty much immediately.
Right.
There was no really you know, when you go to another school or you're going to college for the first time, kind of like getting a feel.
Right.
And as soon as I got there, I was eating lunch with all the guys, and everyone was. But man, we were completely balled in. Like, if you just watched us at practice every day, everyone was ready to compete lay their body on the line for everyone else.
Right.
That's one of the closest teams. It's probably the closest team I've ever been a part of. I said multiple times, like, you know, when you play in high school, everyone's best friends, and you know, you do anything for the guy next to you. That's how it was.
Right.
And I mean, I think when you look at all these close games, shoot, we were in. I couldn't even tell you how many games we won that we weren't supposed to win.
Right.
And I think it's because of that. I mean, directly because of how close we were as a team and what we do for the guy standing beside us.
Right. I got you. And that's big time, man. Because, yeah, it was definitely just coming down there, going to that game, just being in the locker room with y'all.
Right.
Just seeing the way y'all interacted. Like, I was like, it's something a little different about this group. And I felt like we were tight-knit. Like,
right.
We were very tight-knit, but it was just some things that kind of held us back. But yeah, that's the thing I definitely noticed from the jump. Like, just the energy in the building, the way everybody was moving, the way people were talking, like the urgency. I was like, yeah, they ready to kind of get the outright championship and do something special.
Right.
That hadn't been done in a while. So that was cool to come back and see y'all do that part. So you go through the year and you're just lighting it up. I saw you had a stat line. One game was like 454 yards, 5 TDs. Won like all of the SoCon Player of the Month award that season, SoCon Player of the Year. So you get through that year, y'all get into the SoCon Championship. That's the game I came to. And like you said, like you end up breaking your hand. And that game was a wild one in itself. Yeah. I'm on the sideline going crazy, bro. Like, and you end up breaking your hand. And that was kind of like the first time we met after that game. I remember walking up to you. I felt like at that moment I was more excited than you were. And I'm like, Mike, man, you did it, man. Like, you did it. And you just looking at me like with a blank stare on your face. Like, so talk about that moment, because like I know when I eventually reached out to you later on, you were kind of like, you thought that was my first time, and I was like, no, we met before.
Right.
So yeah, talk about that moment, man. Winning the SoCon Championship, not just because Samford's done it before, but kind of like had to share it with others. You know, SoCon can get kind of crazy. There'll be 3 champions sometimes.
Right.
So talk about how special that moment was, even, you know, breaking your hand that game, to win the SoCon Championship outright for the first time in a long time now. I don't know if Samford ever did it before that.
Yeah,
yeah, I can't. Don't quote me on that. But,
no,
that was something special to see. So talk about that moment.
Yeah, so we had coming off before Mercer, we had just beaten Chat for the first time in like 8 years to have a share of the SoCon for the first time since 2013. But Samford had never won, or since like 1936 had never won like a outright champions of their conference. And obviously we're playing Mercer, who's a really good team. Mm-hmm. But you know, we go through that game. I still don't know how they had the ball with like 30 seconds left, if you remember.
Yeah, it was wild,
I don't know how, probably the best goal line stand I've ever seen in my life. So we get to stop, go into overtime. In the first overtime, I think we get the ball first. I probably made one of the best throws I've ever made.
Right.
I get smoked as I'm making it. I break my wrist in a couple places. Then they go score, so we got to go back out there, and I was going to do and then they didn't score. So they scored, but then they didn't score in the first overtime. So we just needed a field goal to win. And, you know, my backup was an unbelievable player. Yeah. And I wasn't going to sacrifice us losing the game because I couldn't hold on to the ball.
Right.
So the plan was to go get about 15 yards, kick a game winner, but Q decided to take one to the house on the second play. Probably the coolest moment I've ever been a part of playing football. Yeah. Just seeing everyone storm the field, just such a cool moment. And I was so happy for him.
I was there.
Yeah.
Like, on the ESPN footage, you see me and Carter. He played safety when I was there too.
Yeah.
We're like running over there, like, celebrating with all y'all. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, that was dope.
Oh yeah,
that was dope, man. Yeah, he did his thing, man. So shout out to Q.
Shout out to Q. See what he does this year. But so at first, like there's a couple of cool pictures of me and Q, like, you know, just celebrating and all that. And then probably about 10 minutes after it kind of set in, I was like, okay, well, we won, but now we're going to the playoffs. We're going to have a first round bye. We got a legit shot. And I knew something was wrong. And so I kind of, like you said earlier, I blacked out after the game. I do not remember a single thing. I don't remember talking to anyone after. I barely remember taking pictures. All I know is I had to go get an x-ray right after the game. And that's pretty much all I was focused on. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So,
sorry for not remembering.
No, you're good, bro. But so do you do that? And now Samford's back in the playoffs, right where we want to be. We went twice, got bumped out first round when I was there. Talk to me about that run, what it was like, man, because I never really got to experience that in my time there.
Right.
It was special when you touched it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it felt different. It was a different vibe in the air, man. You get to get on the plane, go somewhere else in the country. But just talk about that run, like that playoff run, going from Thanksgiving weekend on to, what did y'all play? All the way into late December?
No, mid-December. Yeah, we played North Dakota State, Fargo Dome.
What was the vibes like? Like, what was it about that team that you were like, okay, we can kind of not only get in the playoffs, because then you were out the first game.
Well, I tried to. I was getting to that. So I didn't know. We were doing everything we could, but I'd broken my right wrist in 2 places. Nothing serious. It was just, it's your throwing hand. So try throwing a football with a broken wrist. It's not fun. Right. So I tried to go. I didn't really throw at all for 2 weeks because I couldn't. Before the game, me and Coach Hatch were like, if you can go, you're going. Right. Go out there before, feeling good. I'm ripping it around a little bit. I was like, all right, we're going. Third play of the game, I think I ripped like a bench from the other hash, hit my hand on a helmet, completely went numb in my arm. So it was over. I knew I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't hold a football. Hugh comes in and it just does his thing.
Right.
4 touchdowns or whatever he did. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But at that point you go out. It's not about you. It's about how we're going to win this game and advance to the next week. So I pretty much did everything I could to help Hugh be successful. Which, not that he needed my help because he's a really good player.
Right.
But he goes off and we beat Southeastern Louisiana in a double overtime game. Hugh has back-to-back games where he walks it off with a rushing touchdown.
Right.
It's just crazy. And then, you're playing North Dakota State in the Fargo Dome. So that was a pretty cool experience.
That was always something in the back of my mind, like knowing the respect that program has. Like, I want to just be able to get to that level, get to be able to match up with that team and see like what we could do.
Right.
So talk about that, getting to that stage, because I remember I went out to like one of the local like sports bars in Tallahassee to watch the game. I got on all my Samford stuff, so I'm going crazy. How difficult was it? Because I said there's no way Mike's not playing in this game.
Yeah.
So how difficult was it knowing like I'm not really 100% here, but I got to go out here and fight with my guys.
Right.
So how difficult was that, and what was that experience like? Just being in Fargo and being in like kind of like a Power 5 atmosphere that they bring to the table. Just talk a little bit about that game and just everything you were dealing with, with the wrist and still having to be there for your teammates and compete in that scenario.
Right, yeah. So
probably the biggest game in school history.
Yeah. So it was kind of the same situation as Southeastern. I didn't practice. I couldn't throw at all. I was just gripping onto the ball was pretty hard. Before the game, did the same thing, and I didn't want to put Q in a bad situation like I kind of did the week before. So we decided let Q start, and I'm going to come in because I wouldn't make it the whole game. I physically couldn't do it.
Right.
So he played pretty much the whole first half. We were going to try to do a different plan, but they ended up having the ball in the last like 8 minutes of the second quarter. So I started in the third quarter. Throw a pick on the first drive, but then after that we start rolling, but it was just kind of too late. Defense did their thing in the first half, pretty much shut them out. They scored 10 quick points late. But, it kind of got to a point where their offense was rolling. Not even that they were scoring, they were just eating the clock. They had a 10, 17-point lead.
That's what they do.
Right, which is what they've historically done. But we started rolling on offense. We started getting something going, but it was just kind of too late.
Yeah, I got it.
But, man, it was an unbelievable atmosphere. I'm actually training with probably North Dakota State's best receiver.
Okay.
He's got a chance to get drafted. Really good player.
Okay.
It's just been kind of fun to talk about the game. And and all that. But, yeah, it was a crazy experience. It's probably one of the loudest places I've ever played at just because it's a dome, and those guys are going crazy. Right. They love North Dakota State football. So.
I got you. So junior season ends, and now fast forward, boom, you finish 4th in the Walter Payton Award. You get SoCon Player of the Year. You're getting these accolades.
Yeah.
Then you get the invite to the Manning account.
Yeah.
That's special because that's kind of starting to become a Samford quarterback tradition.
Right.
Our quarterbacks get invited to that camp and get to go be amongst the best in the country and showcase their talents. Talk to me about that experience and what you learned from the Manning camp and just kind of how it felt being there around elite talent and getting to learn from the best, the Manning brothers.
Yeah, so it was such a cool experience. I was sitting there like on the beach one day, and I was just chilling, and I get a text from a number I don't have, and it's Arch Manning. Yeah. Archie Manning's texted me and invited me to be in the Manning pass account. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So, yeah, thank you.
That's dope.
So, you go there, and you just it's such a cool experience because you got Jane Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner, Drake May will be the number 2 pick or whatever, top 5 pick. You're throwing Michael Pick, just all these big-name guys, right? You're getting to throw with them, see how good they are. And then you're getting to learn from Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. And you just get to hang around them for 4 days. You're basically with them all day, every day for those 4 days. Okay. It's just such a cool experience. Then you get to, teach kids how to play football and stuff. So, man, if I had another year of college, I'd be going back for sure because it was so fun.
Yeah, that's really dope, man. So it was good to kind of see you get to have that experience and kind of keep that tradition going. So, yeah, that's dope for sure. So now you fast forward from the Manning Academy. Now you coming back. Do this year, have this season, and it's a little different.
Yeah.
Coming off a high, a lot of people gone, coaches move, people shift, but you got to kind of go try to chase that again. Some guys came back, took that, extra super senior year. So talk to me about that, kind of just how the season kind of started a little crazy, kind of, getting them out early.
Right.
And then kind of, how did you deal with still putting up individual success and putting up some numbers and throwing the ball around the field some, but also, the wins not stacking up sometimes.
Right.
What was your mindset going through that, and how did you kind of remain leadership throughout that process?
Right. Yeah. And like you said, all you worry about is winning games.
Right.
I think we had such a tough start to our season because we had a talented team this year.
Right.
But 2022, we probably got every possible bounced our way.
Right.
And this year was the opposite, which is football. That's football, and that's what makes it fun.
That's real.
And, there were so many bounces that just didn't go our way. But, it was something I liked about this team. And, you finished 6-5, obviously not what we wanted to do.
Right.
But I was really proud of how we finished the season. We finished the season after starting 1-3. We finished 5-2. 1 possession game against Furman, who was a top 5 team in the country. 1 possession game against Mercer, which was a top 15 team in the country. And it was just the little things. But I was just really proud of how we finished the season after having such a crazy start. You go to Western Carolina week 2, have a 7-hour rain delay, ended up just getting handed to us. I mean, they just flat out beat us on every aspect of the game. Then you go to Auburn, we played. I thought we played pretty well. They got out of hand a little bit at the end, but down 2 scores in the 4th quarter. Then we play Chat, and just kind of another thing. We get up big, and then they get up huge. We claw our way back, and then just kind of shoot ourselves in the foot. But it was just, like I said, ball didn't bounce our way every time. Start out 1-3. Pretty much got to go undefeated to make the playoffs through there, and we didn't, obviously, but I was proud of how we finished. Now we just kept fighting, even though we knew the playoffs were probably gone.
I got you. So that's huge to get your perspective on
right.
That. So talk a little bit about just overall your experience coming to play for Samford. Did it end up being everything you thought it would be? Was it more? Did you get something out of it that maybe you thought you wouldn't? Or just dive into that. What was your overall take on the experience and the time you spent at Samford University?
Yeah, no, it was the best decision I've ever made. If I had to do it over 10 times, I'd do it all 10. I'd go back to Samford every time. Right. Met some of my best friends. I got to play I got to play 2 years of football with my best friends in Birmingham with all my high school friends there. My fiance's there, my family, all of them got to come see me every week, and just I got to learn from Coach Hatcher, which, I mean, how much more can you ask for? So
right.
kind of going back to what you said, obviously 2022, I don't think it can get much better than that, especially it's probably the greatest season Samford's ever had, arguably.
Right.
And then even through 2023, you still kind of chill, you understand, like, hey, I'm getting to play football with my best friends, right? So it's still fun. There's a lot of people who would die to be in my shoes, so I'm going to appreciate it and enjoy it. But overall, man, I love Samford. I always loved Samford, and it was even better than I thought it would be.
Right. That's good. That's good to hear, man. Yeah, because everybody has their own experience with it, man. So, like, when I got there, man, sometimes it could be a culture shock, for people that look like me.
Right.
But as the years went on and I kind of got more involved in the city and things of that nature and kind of got out there more and gave it a chance, I felt the same. I feel the exact same way. I went where I was supposed to go.
Right.
Like, everything happened for a reason. I went to a school where I was able to develop. They let me develop, let me make mistakes.
Right.
Let me become the best player I possibly could have.
Right.
So yeah, I got a lot of love for Samford.
Yeah.
I feel the same as that way.
Yeah. It's a special place. So.
Yeah. So that's really good that you touched on that. We'll be right back after this quick message.
For the next year, I'll be partnering my talents with Krispy Kreme or Tallahassee. Receive a 25% discount when you order the Jalen Glazed dozen.
All right, man. So yeah, we just got into all your college success and everything. But a big part of that, what I know, just one thing I want to go back and harp on, right? What do you think it is about the house attack that's so special, and that guys just come and tend to play in this offense and just light it up? Personally, I think he's good at getting the right guy for his system, somebody who can handle that pressure, because it is a lot, and handle that. I think he's done a good job of finding guys who can do that. But what is it about, maybe scheme-wise, without, kind of giving up the secrets, but what is it about that offense thing?
Yeah, I think, one, he does a really good job of getting the right guy. And then, two, he's so good at just making sure you understand what your job is. A lot of coaches, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but there's a lot of coaches who, hey, you're doing it my way or it's the highway pretty much. He is, he gets you, and then he's trying to make you as comfortable as possible. If you don't like the play, he can be his favorite play. He's going to throw it out because at the same time, you're the one on the field, right? And he's calling the play. So he does I can't emphasize enough how good of a job he does at making sure that you know what you're doing and just harps on it. You work it every single day. We always say you have a great capacity for boredom if you're going to be successful. And I think that's the truest thing. It really is. A lot of coaches just trying to throw a ton at you, and you do it twice and you don't feel great about it. With him, we're a lot of variety of plays, but keep it simple and make sure you know it, front and back. So that's where it makes him so good.
And that's one thing I used to notice, even if it wasn't a quarterback, just the way kind of like the receivers who talk about the game plan, and they like, people was tell how comfortable they were.
Right.
Like, if this happens, you got to do this. If this happens, just you kind of hear guys chatter about the game afterwards and before. And that's how you kind of know, and even my 2 years of playing offense when I first got there, and 1 year under him, they did a really good job of just breaking everything down to you. There's not a style report where, bro, sometimes they have people nicknames on there. So they do a really good job of that aspect of keeping players prepared. So I'm really glad you touched on that, because that's important. That's really important. As a player, if you don't feel prepared going to a game, that's what causes you to play stiff.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to be sure about yourself. So
right.
It's important that you touched on that and not part of the house attack offense.
Yes. And another thing is he played quarterback too.
Right.
So, when you got a guy who knows the position and can understand what you're going through, it makes it 100 times easier.
Right. When the Harlan Hill Trophy, the 2 eyes.
Baller.
So yeah, he's a legend in his own right. So after we talk in that aspect, so now moving forward, post Samford career. So now you're in the process of entering the draft and trying to become a professional. Talk to me a little bit about Some people may say, hey, the house attack offense, it's quick reads, get out of your hands fast. Maybe this offense might not be complex enough for him to translate to the NFL game. What do you have to say to maybe NFL scouts and teams that are kind of trying to push that narrative?
Yeah, I mean, in junior college, we ran a complete pro style offense, and I was a player of the year in that too. I had a bunch of success. We won 2 state championships, national championships. So, I mean, if someone were to say that to me, I would just say that I've succeeded at I've played at a very high level in both systems.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel very comfortable whether it's pro style, air raid. I don't really care. I'm just trying to win.
Okay, that's good. So now you enter into your draft process. You sign with an agent. You're in. You got a trainer. You got a training facility. Talk a little bit about some of those partnerships and who's your agent, who you training with, and that process right now. What have you been doing these last 2 months? Getting ready for the draft.
Yeah, so my agent, Chris Martin at OTG Sports, phenomenal team. They'll actually represent Chris Oladoke and Alex McGill, a bunch of guys that are in my situation are similar coming out of college.
I got you.
The late round undrafted guys. So I signed with them. They've been incredible. I went to 2 All-Star games in early January. Got to meet with a little over half the NFL team, which was great. And then, I've been training down here in Tampa at Cooper Sports Performance. Phenomenal. I feel better than I've ever felt, honestly, in my body and just moving around. And then from a quarterback training aspect, I'm training with CJ Bennett, who's actually a coach.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's the man. So I learned a lot from him. I also work with Q Country, Ben Neal, and I both worked with him. He's phenomenal. So I've just been super blessed, man. And training with Coop at their facility, and then getting to, I think, the best quarterback coaches possible. So, I mean, I feel like I'm playing or throwing the best and feel the best I've ever felt.
I got you, man. Yeah, that's incredible, man. Like, definitely coming down here in the great state of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know it's been a blast. We got some of the best trainers down here. So, yes, when you told me about the tip, I was like, yeah, you came to the right place.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool that you kind of embraced Florida and kind of a lifestyle down here.
Oh, yeah.
It'll come to get right for you.
It's also been nice. I'm getting to learn from Mike White, who's an NFL quarterback, plays for the Dolphins right now. I'm just kind of, he's been through it. He's a late round guy too. Went to Western Kentucky, but he's been in the league for 5 years now. So just kind of learn from him every day too. It's been awesome.
That's huge, bro. Yeah. It's always big to have guys that are already doing it, right? To walk you through that, and guys that are willing to do that. A lot of times you get these vets, and they might not be willing to help out another guy. So anytime you got a vet like that that's willing to take time out there with you, that's dope. That's real special.
Right. So absolutely.
Lock in with people like that.
Oh, absolutely.
So going from there, talk to me about, you said you played in 2 All-Star games.
Yes.
What was that experience like? You're getting thrown into a whole new scenario with a whole bunch of guys you've never played with before. On top of that, you got scouts from every NFL team, maybe some of these CFL teams and other leagues here to see you perform and see you do that at a high level. It's like nerve-wracking, knowing the timing might not necessarily be there. There's going to be scouts doing what is the mindset going into those pre-draft All-Star?
Right. I think the main thing too is, you're going to get to interview with teams and just kind of get a feel, hey, what are y'all looking for? Am I on your board? Just kind of that thing. So you get to feel like, so this team's super interested, this team's not interested, which kind of helps you.
I got you.
Going in, to the whole March to April, because we're really getting into it now.
I got you.
Before and after Pro Bowl, before the draft. Yeah, like you said, you're throwing to guys you don't know. So, I mean, really, you're focusing on just showing that your footwork's good, that you have a good arm, can throw from a bunch of different angles, and not really too worried about the timing. I mean, they know it's different, right?
I got you.
So, yeah, I got to meet, like I said, with well over half the NFL teams. I'm on a neg list for the CFL with the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Shout out Kendall. Okay. Like, man, I'm not sure they took a lot though. But so I'm on, but I got to meet with him to talk with them. Super interested in that too. The NFL that work out, and then also I got to meet with the UFL too. Okay, right. You know, Birmingham Stallions, all that. That'd be a pretty cool thing. But I don't know where I'm going, you know, but just kind of looking forward to it and enjoying this whole process.
Good, man. That's good because, well, like you just hatched on, like when I was coming out, there was only two avenues.
Right.
You know, you just get NFL or
CFL. I saw, yeah.
And now we got the UFL now.
Right.
It's the XFL already.
So USFL, you know, it's cool because, you know, a bunch of those top players, they go to the league. Right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's and they pay well, and it's a good, like, minor league, if you will, for the NFL.
So, yeah, that's another avenue that you have, and it's good to see that you're open and tapped into that.
Right.
That's where it starts, man. If you're not open for it, again, you're taking opportunities. Right. So, yeah, man, that's huge that you're going through that process. So now, boom, flip, right, you get through the Tropical Bowl, another game that you put in. Now you come back to Tampa, your training is that's too much. So now you're prepping for your pro game, which is what, next week? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So what are the differences you're going to take from that experience, or do you feel more like, you feel more prep now? How they going to pro day and be able to perform? Are you going to be throwing to some of your guys, some guys that you're more familiar with, back in your own building and your facilities? Right. And people get to come and check you out. So what is it now going into your pro day? What are some of the things that you're taking away from some of the previous experiences with the Scots to now? And how do you think that might help benefit your experience?
Yes, it's fun. Right. So, like, when I met with the scouts at the All-Star games, you know, I would ask them, hey, what do you want to see from me at pro day? You know, arm strength, accuracy, you know, footwork, you know, stuff like that. So you get a feel for, hey, this is what they want to see, so I need to show them that I can do this, right? So just really, and you're throwing the guys that you know, which is always good. So, I mean, was that, and like you said, it can be nerve-wracking throwing in front of scouts for the first time, so that's kind of out of the way. I've done that. I feel good. And I'm just ready to go show what I've been working for the last 2 months. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited about it.
I got you, man. Well, yeah, man, I want to wish you the best of luck with that, man. I know you'll knock it out of the park, man. So let's go ahead, man. You ain't got nothing to be nervous about.
That's right.
Let's go ahead with business. So getting into that. So you kind of in a weird spot, but it's kind of when you've been in before.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, coming out of high school, you know, the crew was kind of, it was there, but it wasn't there.
Right.
In the JUCO process, you know, you had a few schools barking at you, but ultimately go to Samford. And now you're in a position now where some people might have you listed as maybe a last day guy, 6th rounder, 7th rounder. Some people have you listed as an undrafted free agent.
Right.
What is your mindset going into that process? Does it matter to you? Would you prefer to go get drafted? Would you prefer to be an undrafted free agent? How do you deal with that type of uncertainty surrounding the draft and kind of the position that you're in?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best things that happened was going to JUCO and, you know, not deciding on, you know, the day of signing day. I signed right before I could, you know, the last possible minute going out of college. So I think I've kind of experienced the uncertainty and kind of gone through it. But, man, at the same time, you know, God has a plan. So I really am not worried at all. So, you know, whatever happened, whether I like it or not, it's probably, it is the best for me. Yeah. So, you know, obviously you want to be drafted. That's the dream. You want to hear it. But those benefits to also being a high priority free agent or a free agent. And just undrafted, you know, sign as undrafted. You can understand, you know, hey, they got 3 quarterbacks on the roster. This team has 2 quarterbacks. You know, I can pick to go here, maybe for less money, but, you know, you got a better chance of making that team, right?
Right.
So there are always benefits to it. But like I said, it would be cool to hear your name called. But at the end of the day, man, I'm trying to go to a team, show them my value, show them what I can bring to the table, and just make the team and try to help them win and whatever that looks like.
I got you, man. That's a great answer, man. Because I mean, that could be nerve-wracking, man. Not really knowing, and you got a lot of different grades on you, a lot of different takes on you. So it's good that you kind of even care and you kind of like know that there's pros and cons to that situation.
And it's, at the same time, those are just, I mean, I can't control any of that, right? So, like, I'm just words on a piece of paper. Right. I'm going to control what I can control, and we go from there. I'm going to do my best at pro day, do my best in interviews and all that, and whatever happens, happens.
I got you. I got you. Okay, so I know you are engaged.
I am.
I think, and she's been, y'all dated for what, 6 years? High school?
Yeah.
Talk to me about how important your relationship has been and your overall development over your career, and how it's been. Was y'all engaged before the year?
Yeah, before we got engaged in July of 2023.
Okay, so talk to me about what that's like, being a college quarterback, going through this process now, being engaged, as opposed to being like, a young guy that's not really engaged. And just talk to me about how that relationship has helped you, throughout your process and your journey.
Yeah, man. I mean, she's my best friend. We've been dating for the last 7 years, and she's been by my side through all of it. We did long distance.
Wow.
I can't say enough. I can talk for an hour about how great she is. She just is so supportive. She would leave Auburn on Thursday nights to come see me play in junior college. Her parents would do the same. They'd ride out with my parents. And I mean, I don't know a lot of people that would do that, to be honest with you.
Right.
It was cool. So when I came to Samford, she graduated, because the super senior and needed all that. She was at Auburn for 4 years. So we got to live in the same place and just hang out all the time. But it's just so, it kind of brings me a peace when, the stresses of being a college athlete, right? And you got so many things going on, trying to do so many things. You may not play as well as you want to on the field, have a great win or a tough loss, that you just kind of always there to support me, and it's kind of just keeps me even killed. So I was super thankful for her.
That's huge, man. Well, I was trying about at the bus, man.
I appreciate it.
Oh, she thinks I
have to clip this one.
For sure. So, man, last thing I got for you, man. We talked about pretty much your entire career. I just want to give you the stage. Who was Michael Hiers?
Yeah.
If a team were to draft you, sign you, who would they get? What type of guy are they getting? Right now, you're getting kind of like the Kirk Cousins vibe. Like, that's about like, we're sitting down talking to you. Seem like a very likable guy.
Yeah.
Like, come in the locker room and kind of, guys want to play for. Let's talk about the type of person you are. Sell yourself right now in this setting to an NFL program. What are they getting if they select or sign Michael Hiers?
Yeah, so I would say that through all my experiences, I've kind of learned to deal with adversity. And I've also, going to junior college, going to Murray State, going to Samford, you kind of learn how to relate to all different types of people, right? Not everyone's like me. Not everyone's like, another guy on the team. So you kind of get to learn, like, hey, they're like this. Hey, what motivates them, right? So I think that's really helped me become a good leader. It's just learning what motivates people and how to relate with people, because, people aren't going to follow you if they can't, believe in you and relate to you. So I think one of the big things about that is I'm not a rah-rah guy, but I've always been able to kind of have people follow me. And then from a football perspective, I'm going to compete with anyone. I mean, I'm as competitive as it gets.
Okay.
I'll do anything to help the team win. That's all I care about is winning. But from a quarterback perspective, I think I'm about as accurate as any quarterback in this class. I throw from a bunch of different arm angles. I don't have to be set, and I don't have a problem taking a hit. And then, I'm not a dual threat by any means, but I can definitely pick up a first down, 3rd and 8. So I'm a lot more mobile than I think.
That's what I heard about. What's up for them?
But I do think the biggest thing would just be my ability to relate with everyone.
I got you, man. Yeah, that's huge, man, because you gotta have. I think that was one of the biggest things about Duck.
Yeah,
like he could go in any corner of the locker room, and kind of like jive with any group of guys.
Right.
And that says a lot about your quarterback. So, keep that about you. One thing I want to end with: if there was one thing you could say to maybe another quarterback back in Birmingham right now, trying to be Michael Hiers, trying to go to Samford, trying to put on for the city, trying to do some of the things you did, what is one sort of piece of advice that you might live to their ears?
Well, man, I'd say just try to get better every day. Because, you know, a lot of people get so frustrated that they don't see results immediately. You just got to keep your head down and grind every day because there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, but you can't really get caught up in that. You just try to be the best version of yourself every day, then, you know, it usually turns out pretty good.
Good. That's huge, man. That's outstanding. So, man, I appreciate you for taking the time to sit down with me, man.
Absolutely.
It's been a blast. Thank you for having me out down here in Tampa, Florida.
Yes, sir.
I wish you nothing but the best, man. Knock your birthday out, man. And if you had it, Bulldog Country, I would have got it for me. Samford quarterback Michael Hiers. Episode 2 of the Mount Family Podcast, man. If you like this episode, go ahead and subscribe, man, and rock with us. I'll see you on episode 3. You have a good one. And always keep the matter thorough with another thing.